Welcome back to the MGS Podcast, your one-stop shop for movies, games, and sports. My name is Jake, here always with my life partner, Paul. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing good, man. I've been upgraded. It feels beautiful.
You just went from my BFF to my life partner. It's pretty great.
I'm moving it.
You excited about today?
I'm excited, man. A lot going on. I'm excited about this podcast, and we got a lot of great subjects to cover today. So make sure you hang around as we go through our movies, games, and sports today.
Now, a small reflection, I did go and watch, actually we both watched The Atom Project.
Fantastic.
I watched Gold. Paul has not been able to see Gold yet. Both movies were amazing. Better than I thought that they were going to be. Gold is I'm trying to keep this appropriate. It's a mind screw.
Yeah, I mean, I think you were pretty blown away by how that movie,
I was.
How it all happened and everything that went on. So I don't want to use any spoilers there from what you've told me about it. I did go check out Batman. I do want to say real quick, it was as good as the hype. It was fantastic. I think right away I'll just say you were 100% right on the detective work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just made it so much better to see that.
Well, think back for a second. When wasn't I right about something? Because I'm always right.
You guys see what I have to deal with here?
It's a constant thing. But on today's podcast, we're going to be talking about actually a couple of different movies that come out later this week. We're going to be talking about Panama, which stars Mel Gibson, and Umma, which stars Sandra Oh. But then we're only going to touch on those briefly because something happened that we're pretty excited about.
Something happened.
So
Dude,
my life got turned upside down at last.
I was blown away. I was excited. I think it was a little bit earlier than what we actually anticipated for that trailer. But let's not screw around here. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know it's not a movie, but we when we say movies in our podcast, we're going to talk about TV series as well. And it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. How can you not talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi?
If it has anything to do with Star Wars, we're definitely going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it.
Movie, show, I don't care if it's commercial, we're talking about it.
And all I'm saying is on the debut, I'm wearing an Obi-Wan robe.
Let's do it.
I'm going to.
Yeah, all right.
And then for gaming, we're actually going to be talking about something a little controversial in the gaming community, which is a mouse and keyboard versus aim assist. If time allows for it after that, we're actually going to be touching on Destiny 2, the Witch Queen expansion. And for sports is going to be tough. We've got a lot of highlights. We're not going to have just one topic today. Keep in mind, we are an NFL free agency. We have gotten a few people who said we talk a little bit too much about football, but NFL free agency is one of the biggest things in sports happening right now. But today we're going to be touching on other sports as well. And it is happening. It is happening for sure. So to kick things off, we're going to roll into our movies. No, I don't like doing that. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Dude, you can't just change it up.
It didn't sound good on the last podcast, and people are judging me for doing an echo.
Give me the addresses.
It's funny. That notification just popped up on the TV, and both of us at the same time were like, "What was that?" Something's happening. I saw the word Halo. All right, so we're gonna go into our first segment, which is movies, and we're gonna start off with Panama. Panama is a new movie starring Mel Gibson, which we don't really have to tell you what Mel Gibson is. Basically, he was in every 90s action movie that Bruce Willis wasn't in. I think
that's 100%.
That's fair, right? It was one of those two that were in every 90s action movie.
That is 100% true.
And then, of course, you got to throw in Arnold and Sylvester Stallone and things like that. But for the most part, it was Mel and it was Bruce. But Panama is about a ex-Marine who's hired by a defense contractor to, once you've seen one movie like this, you've kind of seen them all. He goes into Panama and, he's trying to take down a drug cartel or something. It's kind of hard to tell from the trailer.
Sure.
But it looks pretty good. Have you been able to check out the trailer yet?
I did. I watched it earlier today. Right off the bat, I can tell you it's going to be action-packed.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of action in there. And then it also, did you say that it's going to have Cole Hauser in it?
I didn't mention that, no.
Okay.
And
So
Cole Hauser, he's the one from, he's in Too Fast, Too Furious. He's the
he
bad
is.
guy.
Yeah, he's the bad guy in
Yeah,
it.
I always picture him with like the weird ginger hair color that they dyed very poorly in
It
that
was
movie.
the sun spray.
Yeah.
You know, like we used to use it back in the late 90s, early
Don't say
2000s.
we. Don't
I
say
did,
we
yeah.
with your frosted tips.
Eminem, bro, he
I
was
used
in.
to
Everybody
frosted
wanted to
tips
be
too.
blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's weird because like if I look back on that movie, Too Fast, Too Furious, it's hard to picture him without a beard now. Like I feel
Yeah.
like everything he does now has a beard. If you guys are not familiar with who Cole Hauser is, he does Yellowstone,
Yeah,
and
that's
he's a
probably his biggest thing
huge
right now is
yeah. And
Yellowstone.
so if you watch that, he's in that, and again, like you go back to Too Fast, Too Furious, and it's like he looks like a baby.
You know what really upset me about that trailer though? And at one point you got this like Rambo Panama dude coming out of the jungle and he's got some sort of like long machine gun and he's like, "Welcome to the jungle." And they didn't play Guns N' Roses immediately after. There was no "Welcome to the jungle."
Well, hey, just to let you know, if you ever want to hear that, you can just go to a Bengals game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
Cincy, welcome to the jungle.
Or you could play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. That was
Yeah.
I think
Well,
that was a theme song.
well, let's just say that Grand Theft Auto has the best music stations out
They
there.
always have.
It's always been clutch.
Like
So,
I'm surprised that Mel Gibson doesn't perform some songs in Grand Theft Auto since he's in pretty much everything else now. I feel like he's really been trying to rejuvenate his career since he had that falling out after he did Passion of the Christ movie.
yeah, we got a lot of political
Yeah, he got very
backlash.
yeah. But recently he's been kind of rebuilding his career. I don't know if you saw I think it was last year, possibly the year before, but they came out with that Christmas movie called Fat Man,
I did not see
which
that one.
it was a very bizarre twist on Santa, where like Santa works for the U.S. military and just picture like however you could picture Mel Gibson as Santa. That was the movie because Mel Gibson played a
But
really
delivering like guns and ammunition.
kind of
All right.
because basically he's hired by the military to be Santa and he does other things for the military as well. But then he leaves a kid Cole one time. And the kid's like entire life goal is to get revenge on Santa, and it just so happens to be an extremely wealthy kid. So he like sends a hitman after Santa. And it's bizarre. It's exactly how you'd expect
pretty
a
wild.
Mel Gibson movie to
Yeah, so
to
there's
do. But
action in it. It's not a
yeah,
lovey-dovey family movie.
just like this trailer. In this trailer, I don't think there was a moment of the trailer where it wasn't action packed. You have like
Somebody was always holding a gun.
yeah,
That's
and Mel
100%.
Gibson, honestly, funniest part of the trailer for me, he's like narrating himself as he's killing someone. He's like, "Oh, make sure you stab him in the neck. Oh, no, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to myself. All right, stab him in the neck. Now
Then
break his
break
neck."
I did see that. And the funny is right before that part, and I think this is like all movies, he's wearing like these aviator sunglasses, headbutts somebody right in the face, but the aviator sunglasses are
Completely
perfectly fine.
Well, didn't you know that aviators are actually made out of vibranium from Wakanda?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's how they get their
they're
money.
strong. Yeah. But like I said, we're gonna go through these first two movies pretty quick. Panama comes out on Friday. You can see it in select theaters, and then it's also going to be streaming on Roku. Like Roku has their own service built within their stick, so you'll be able to watch it on Roku.
Roku. I still have a Roku.
All of mine are Android TVs now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because it's
I found one in a drawer
More
the other
freedom.
day, and I was like looking around, and I was like, oh, what is this ancient thing?
peasant. The next movie we're going to talk about is Umma, which is Korean for mother, if you did not know. This is they call it a horror movie. I'm going to call it a psychological thriller that also comes out in theaters on Friday, starring Sandra Oh. She,
Oh. Give the O face.
O'Reilly
O face.
Auto Parts.
Oh.
See, now I'm going to have to bleep that out because if we get famous, I just said O'Reilly Auto Parts. But anyway, it stars Sandra Oh. Everyone will know Sandra Oh from Grey's Anatomy.
Hey,
She was in Grey's
you
Anatomy.
gotta stop saying real quick. I'm sorry, guys. Stop saying if we get famous. It's when we get famous.
I'll give you that.
Okay.
I'll give
I
you
love
that.
you.
I'm just gonna start telling people that I'm Adam Scott. Like I'm gonna put it's the Adam Scott podcast,
I
and
convinced
now
somebody
people who
before.
haven't thought of it are now looking and like googling a picture of Adam Scott. Like who's Adam Scott? Like wow, this guy.
I mean, I
is
convinced somebody before.
You've convinced several
I
people
mean,
that I was Adam Scott.
She was 3 sheets in the wind, but
Yeah, I still signed an autograph for her.
Anyways, back to Uma. It's basically about becoming your mother, right? I think is what the
Yeah. It's like a crazy psychological horror thriller where this woman who her mother died and they like sent her ashes to the United States where she's a bee farmer. It doesn't sound very interesting as we talk about it, but the trailer actually intrigued me. I'm a big fan of horror movies. They scare Paul way too much. So he doesn't really like horror movies.
Bro, I don't mess around with ghosts, bro. I don't know about it. I had a bad experience one time at our townhome. Not sure I told you about that. I'm not gonna go into it on the
The townhome
podcast.
not too far away?
Yeah, dude, it was.
And you had me go in there to help you move?
Dude, it was the freakiest thing I've ever experienced in my life.
I just remember you seeing the ghost at the storage unit.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god, yeah, that was wild. Yeah, I forgot about that. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I've had some real bad experiences, so I was like, yeah, I don't watch that stuff. So,
but with this movie, so in the trailer, it shows her getting her mother's remains, and she ends up like burying the remains in the yard. She seems to have a very spiteful relationship with her mother. Then after she buries those remains, it goes down.
yeah.
Weird stuff starts happening. Vulpix from Pokemon shows up in the trailer. Did you
When
see
she
that?
stomped on the little diglet in the ground, I was like watching the trailer. I was like, oh my god, it freaked me out on that. I was like,
So first of all, that was a baby chicken.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, that was a baby chicken.
I was staying on the Pokemon stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah, I saw where you were going with that, but yeah, there's this weird fox creature. Maybe it might be some sort of Korean folklore or something like that. But this fox creature with all these tails pops up, and I couldn't help but think of Vulpix from Pokemon. That was my initial thought. But
I mean, when you see the trailer, you're definitely gonna think the same thing. For
yeah,
sure.
I'm actually, you guys, right now, I'll put a comparison picture right here. So yeah, you can see how that right there looks like Vulpix right there.
I don't see it.
Well, I have to put it in the editing.
Oh.
So it's not actually there, Paul.
What?
But again, this segment is more so going to be about Obi-Wan. We just wanted to touch on 2 movies that were coming out this week. Both of those released Friday. Umma is going to be theaters only, whereas Panama will be in theaters and limited release on Roku.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely have to check them out. I'm excited for Panama. I'm good for any action movie.
Yeah.
So.
But now it's the moment we've all been waiting for. Literally before the podcast started, Paul was sitting there, and I might have to clip it. He's like, yeah, I'm ready.
Can we post another little video chat right here?
Put it right there. You getting excited and just looking into my soul like, yes, it's happening.
This is going down.
So if it isn't
Ewan McGregor
extremely obvious by now, I know we touched on it a little bit. You know, we're big Star Wars fans. I mean, I have a Darth Maul tattoo. You know, a lot of people can't see it, but I do have a Darth Maul tattoo. My dog's name was Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is my favorite character. Love him to death. So,
you have another dog.
other dog is Skywalker. Other dog is Princess Leia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We like Star Wars. Paul
My
and
dog's
I,
name is Bentley.
which it's actually a cameo character that appears in the Force Awakens somewhere somewhere in there. But for those of you who have not seen it, the other day on our Instagram, we did share a video, a link to YouTube from the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series that's going to be releasing on Disney Plus on May 25th. They gave us a little bit of a teaser. You know, some people say it's a little bit of a teaser. It was a lot of bit of a teaser for me.
I was pumped.
Like, a lot of people who watch that trailer, now mind you, some of you aren't going to know who a lot of those characters were in the trailer. A lot of the characters you're seeing, the people wielding the red lightsabers, are from the animated show Star Wars Rebels. And those are Inquisitors, which were hired by the Empire to, you know, hunt down and kill the remaining Jedi.
Trained by Vader.
Trained by Vader.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of them were former Jedi, too. You know, they had an option, like, hey, we're going to murder you now, unless you help us hunt other Jedi. So a lot of them were like, all right, not into that whole murder idea.
Yeah.
So
Death is not an option.
So let me help you kill some other Jedi. So
the odds seem to be in your favor.
Yeah, they definitely are.
I mean, you guys slayed a whole temple, so
yeah, you killed
children.
Not just the women, the children too. Slaughtered them like animals.
One of those was my cousin, but yes, I'll help.
Probably. But Kenobi is supposed to take place 10 years after we last saw that beautiful man, Ewan McGregor, in Revenge of the Sith. So this takes place 10 years after that. So he's 10 years into his exile on Tatooine. Luke Skywalker is, you know, a nice 10 years old, so he's about your height at this point.
Maybe taller.
He might be taller. Hayden is returning as Darth Vader. We're also supposed to be getting some flashbacks of Clone Wars Hayden, Clone Wars Anakin.
Really? So
Yeah.
outside of the The suit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice.
Because
Yeah,
there had to be a reason they wanted Hayden. You're not just going to put Hayden in a suit, because in that case, you're just going to hire the guy that you hired for Rogue One
right.
for the
Because
hallway scene.
don't get me started on Rogue One. Dude, I don't think I've never been more excited when I saw Vader come down that hallway. I was like, because they kept that a pretty good secret.
I knew.
Oh, did you?
I know, but I mean, what don't I know? I research this stuff all day long.
You spoil it for
Like,
yourself
like I'll
sometimes.
be
Like,
I'll be sitting there on the highway, like going 95, and like, what's happening in the world of Star Wars? Oh,
he's not driving. He's looking at his watch.
yeah,
See if there's any notifications as he's checking
gotta
his
gotta
phone.
gotta check both of them. But so also in episode 2, we got to see Owen and Beru Lars at the Lars homestead when, Shmi Skywalker was taken by the Tuscans and killed.
And they brought him back.
And they brought back the same person who played Owen Lars. Now, they brought back the same person who played Beru too, but she's just a small name Australian actor. But the person who played Owen Lars, I don't know, went on to be Joel Edgerton. I always forget how to pronounce that last name,
Yeah.
but who ended up being a massive star.
Yeah.
And he even came back. So that was a steal for George Lucas. You have this guy
Absolutely.
come in, no-name actor, and then after Star Wars, he just blows up.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can bring in the same face and have that, like, oh, I do remember him,
Yeah.
from a previous movie. It's crazy because, like, you look at him and he's, like, more slimmed up now. He was a little bit heavier in the first time we saw him. But, yeah, it's always cool because it kind of, like, just makes it feel more tied in.
Mm-hmm.
So,
The only thing that gets me is, we see Owen, Beru, and Ben Kenobi 10 more years from when this trailer is. And they've aged 100 years within that 10 years. Now, mind you, in canon, they've explained this as, the twin sons of Tatooine, like, takes a toll on your skin. But because of that, I was expecting them to have more makeup that made them look even older than what they actually are. Because, legitimately, Ben Kenobi looks like he's 70 to 80 years old in the first Star Wars movie.
yeah.
Whereas, that only takes place 20 years after Revenge of the Sith. So you go from beautiful, bearded, beautiful hair Obi-Wan Kenobi to old hermit Ben Kenobi within a 20-year period. So I was expecting them to look a little bit older. Now, that being said, it doesn't bother me. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, the continuity is screwed.
Yeah, don't be that person,
Like,
please.
I don't care, because I get to see Ewan McGregor, who played my favorite Star Wars character. Let me rephrase that. My favorite light side Star Wars character in Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I get to see him again. And the movie looks a lot different, or the TV show looks a lot different than what I would thought, because at one point in the trailer, he leaves Tatooine. He's supposed to be there. He's sworn an oath to protect Luke.
Right.
And he's gone. So, like, do
Gotta
you have
figure,
any
like,
theories on why he would have left Tatooine?
I only have two that I really think of right now. One of them was that he's leaving to get maybe them off of his trace.
Because they're so close to Luke
Right.
at that point.
Well, you see them and looks like what to be in a town of
Yeah.
Tatooine.
When you even see them talking, well, you see one of them confronting Owen Lars
Right.
at one point,
Well,
too.
it looks like maybe not confronting him, but a group of people, and he happens to be there.
Missed it.
Did I miss it?
Yeah, there's a part where one of the Inquisitors, what's her name? Moses Ingram. She plays the third sister, who's a new Inquisitor. She's right up in Owen's face.
Oh, I do remember. I do remember that. Yeah, yeah.
So you think that maybe Obi-Wan is just trying to get them away,
Right, off of his
like,
trail.
leaving a breadcrumb, like what they did in Family Guy to that one actor where they, ooh, piece of candy, ooh, piece of candy. So they're just leading them off of He's leading them off of
I definitely think that's probably, well, that's one of my theories. And then the other one is Luke's got a sister.
He does.
Maybe he gets some kind of message saying that they think she's in trouble.
Yeah.
And that they're asking him for his help. Because I mean, I don't want to go too much into it, but we know that Leia knows Obi-Wan Kenobi because in the very first Star Wars movie we got, she says, "We need your help, Obi-Wan Kenobi."
Yeah.
So maybe there's some kind of attachment there where he does come and save her, or
it could be a matter of, because Bail Organa, Leia's adopted father, knows Obi-Wan because he's the one who met with Obi-Wan and Yoda when they were going into exile and planned the exile. He was there when Obi-Wan took Luke, and then he's like, "Oh, my wife and I have always wanted a daughter. Screw that little boy."
We can't take them both.
Yeah, we can't take them both, even though we're like the presidents of a planet. We can't afford to have two of these
We don't
things.
need a prince. We just need a queen.
So it could even have been Bail Organa reaching out to Obi-Wan, because that's how Leia found out about Obi-Wan, was through her adopted father, Bail Organa.
So yeah, so that makes me think that it could be tied in that way.
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
like that.
the planet that we see him go to though looks Hong Kongish.
Yeah,
I guess you can say, with all the neon lights and the LEDs everywhere.
it's a new planet. A lot of people I had seen online thought it was Coruscant, but it is a different planet. It's not Coruscant. It's a new planet that actually has been compared to Hong Kong as like where it's this oceanside, or like Tokyo. It's
Right.
this like oceanside haven that's because it's by the ocean, you get all these ocean mists rolling in and stuff, and
Makes it a little bit more dark.
it looks cool. And that makes me really hope. I don't think this is going to happen because there's been leaks already saying that it's not going to happen, but it makes me think that we might see Darth Maul. Because at this point, which a lot of people don't know this either, Darth Maul is a leader of a crime syndicate called Crimson Dawn. And that looks like the place where a crime syndicate would be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I was just like blown away in the trailer whenever I heard the song come on from episode 1.
Yeah, because
I mean, that was my first thing. It was like, oh my God, we're gonna get cyborg leg Darth Maul come through. I was like, we're gonna get cyborg leg Darth Maul coming in, and we're gonna see a fight scene between him and Obi-Wan again, potentially down the road, or even just seeing the hunt down.
Yeah.
Of him constantly looking and maybe finding other Jedis and trying to get information out of them, to find Obi-Wan Kenobi. But there's a lot we don't know yet, and I know Disney's really good about keeping some of this stuff hush-hush until it comes out.
They're too good at it. It irritates me.
Yeah.
I want to know exactly what's going to happen before I see it.
Right. Well, yeah, you are always that way, too.
Yeah.
You constantly... And you're like, do you want to hear my theories? No, absolutely not. I do not 100% want to hear your theories. Because 90% of the time, they're pretty much accurate, and I go to them like, damn, Jake did tell me about that.
Yeah. He told me Han Solo was probably going to die in episode 7. This is crazy. This is blasphemy.
Get ready for this.
But, what I hope for... Now, again, there's been leaks suggesting that Darth Maul was in the original script. However, he was removed because basically they wanted him to go bigger, which is why they brought on Hayden to play Darth Vader. Which makes me think, are we going to see Hayden, Darth Vader, fight Obi-Wan? Because in A New Hope, all we know is they haven't seen each other in a while.
Sorry.
That's all we know.
What would be bigger than having two? Well, Darth Maul's no longer a Sith Lord, but having two, I would just say
prominent
villain.
dark side villains.
Yeah, absolutely. What could be bigger than that? So, if I was Disney, I'd snip that out real quick. Yeah, no, we were going to, but we decided just to bring Vader.
Yeah.
No, there's got to be something, dude.
I mean, I still forever want to see Darth Maul versus Darth Vader. Yeah, think about that for a second. It's happened in comic books,
dude,
where he fights like a hollow recreation.
It does seem like Vader, the comic book. It seems like that this is the direction they're kind of going for.
So, in Star Wars Rebels, a lot happens with Darth Maul and Darth Vader in Star Wars Rebels. There is a specific Inquisitor, I believe it's the fourth brother. He's tasked solely with hunting Maul. That's the only person he hunts. He's just looking for Maul. And at one point, they end up on this planet. I believe they kept the same name, but it's Malachor. It was the home of the Sith at one point. And that's where they come across Maul. And then, there's a bunch of fighting that happens. I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody, but then Vader shows up. And at one point, you're like, oh my God, are Darth Maul and Vader going to see each other right now? But then Darth Maul runs away.
Dang it.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to see it.
And,
we were that close.
I guess we should bring up, too, a lot of people, their Star Wars knowledge is based off the movies.
Absolutely.
And they haven't seen the Clone Wars to know that Darth Maul is still alive.
Right, and we're not talking about episode 2 of the Clone Wars. We're talking about the animated series.
Yeah. The animated series of Clone
And
Wars,
Rebels.
because essentially he kept himself alive on his own rage for Obi-Wan. He was so
Which is like,
hateful.
you have to bring him back.
I know.
You have an Obi-Wan series.
See,
Why not?
but
dude?
I don't want to tell people what happens in Rebels, though.
Well, yeah, don't say
'Cause,
anything
yeah.
like that. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. All of the animated series are awesome.
Yeah,
The
'cause
Clone Wars is fantastic.
I feel like watching at least the first. Actually, I think watching Rebels in general is important for this show because the Inquisitors, we see them in Rebels. One of the people that we see in the trailer is the Grand Inquisitor. He's, Darth Maul's right hand. He's in charge of the Inquisitors. He used to be a
Darth
Jedi
Maul's
Temple.
right hand?
Did I say Darth Maul?
Yeah, Darth
I did say
Vader.
Darth Vader.
Yeah, okay.
So he's Vader's right hand, and he used to be a Jedi Temple guard. The Grand Inquisitor is in this. He's introduced in Rebels. The fifth brother is in this, who's actually played by what's his name, Sung Kang from Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
Oh, is that who that was?
Yeah, he plays the fifth brother.
That went right over my head.
Yeah. We kind of knew something that was going to happen because we knew he was cast like 8 months ago, and he's like, yeah, not trying to brag, but my character has a lightsaber. so everyone's like, okay, who is this? Who is he going to play? So he plays another one of the Inquisitors, and then we see 2 new Inquisitors who aren't in Rebels. There's Reva, who's the third sister, and then there's a 4th unknown female Inquisitor. We know she's an Inquisitor because in the trailer she has a lightsaber on her back. But
guaranteed we're going to get some lightsaber fights.
there's 100% going to be lightsaber fights.
It's interesting because, when they were on the planet, we obviously didn't see any lightsabers being brought out, but you do see Obi-Wan on a rooftop.
With a blaster.
Right, shooting. So
it's not a very elegant weapon for a man like Obi-Wan, but he's trying to hide the fact that he's a Jedi to most of the
right, because
world.
he's not just going to bust out his lightsaber and be like, here I am, world, because he is still trying to hide himself. So you do wonder how much we may see as in fight scenes with lightsabers.
You figure with the propaganda of the Empire, they painted the Jedi as traitors and murderers. And one thing they don't show you in the movies is most of the people within the Galactic Empire are satisfied with the leadership of Palpatine and believe that the Jedi were traitors and murderers. So you've got to figure Obi-Wan's afraid to pull out that lightsaber because he might get hit in the head with a tomato.
Nice.
Or whatever it is they have on that planet. I'm not sure. It might not be a tomato, but...
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, the trailer... The trailer was phenomenal.
It was.
It was a great, short clip of what we're going to see, enough to get everybody excited and engaged. Like I said, it teased the heck out of me because I immediately thought, Darth Maul. But I even got more pumped up and stood up out of the couch whenever I heard Darth Vader, breathing in at the end. And I'm glad I had my TV up because you can't really hear it right away. But obviously you go right to Google after and you're like, Vader.
I don't want anyone to know this, so keep it a secret between you and I.
Okay, I won't tell anybody.
But when that trailer came out, I watched it for an hour straight.
Did you really?
I did.
Wow.
I
watched it 6 times in a row.
I had the video editing on this side, and then I had why do I keep saying Darth Maul now? That's just like in my brain. But
no, it's
then
on
I watched
your skin.
Obi-Wan. It is on my skin, and his lightsaber is like in my peripherals.
Yeah.
So
and then he's like, you guys can't see it, but there's like 45 Darth Mauls up in front of us right now.
There are a lot of Darth Mauls. Yeah.
So yeah.
I hate this topic because we're trying to keep it as short as we can, and I could talk about this.
I knew it was going to go this way.
All day, but we have to be responsible
adults.
Yeah, and we have to try to cut off Obi-Wan, but it comes out on Disney Plus May 25th. I believe they're going to do a 1 episode per week thing.
And I think we're going to get one more trailer.
We will. Yeah, because this is just the teaser.
Yeah, so we're going to get one more trailer prior to the launch.
I think it won't be till May the 4th, though.
You think that close to...
May the 4th.
Yeah, May the 4th be with you. And we'll end on that. You guys come back for a second segment. We're going to be going over some gaming topics, some controversial topics for gaming. So stick around, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Want to go watch Obi-Wan trailer?
Yeah, let's watch it one more time, dude. Yeah.
It's crazy to think that there's still people who haven't subscribed.
Great mother of Cthulhu, that is kind of crazy. So I guess while we have you here, Might as well click subscribe.
Welcome back to the MGS podcast, and we are moving on to our second segment here, which will be gaming. And today we have a controversial subject here. We're going to go into mouse and keyboard versus aim assist. So for all you PC users out there, we're going to find out what your take is on that as well. And then also our console players as well with the controller. It seems to be kind of lopsided here.
What I've noticed is, no matter what the argument is, people on one side think the other side has the advantage. And
isn't that within everything, though?
Exactly. And it's no different here. You'll have PC players argue that aim assist on a controller is superior to mouse and keyboard. Vice versa. So everyone has their own opinion on it. I've got my own opinions on it. I know you know about aim assist because you've played.
But I can have opinions too.
No, you can't. No.
Not in this house. No, you cannot.
Until you pay part of this mortgage, no opinions are allowed here.
Oh.
But like Paul was saying, it's an extremely controversial topic, especially within like tournaments. So, kind of to explain to you some of the differences between aim assist and, well, let me tell people what aim assist is because a lot of people on console don't even know that they actually have something that's helping them.
Right, that
aim.
it's turned on and because you can turn it off.
On a lot of games, yes, but a lot of games you can't.
Really?
But like PUBG, if I recall correctly, did not have aim assist at all. There wasn't even an option. But aim assist is essentially software within the console that helps you as you're aiming. It helps you kind of aim at the person. One way to test out, for people that don't believe that aim assist is a thing, is go in a lobby with your friend where, you're playing against your friend and just stand there. Don't touch your controller. Have your friend walk by. And you'll notice the cursor will follow them. And the reason they do that is because you're using a joystick, which is on a three-dimensional plane. And it's a lot different than a mouse and keyboard, which I just have to move it across this, and I can move it as fast as I want. Whereas that joystick, once you have it all the way to the side, you can't go any further than that. So aim assist is made to help your thumb aim at your target and stay on your target. And the thing is, aim assist was initially created to level the playing field so that people on console could feel like they're doing better because they're babies.
We need it.
You do need it.
Yeah. Dude, I'm sorry, dude, but I need every little help I can get when I'm playing in these cross-platform lobbies where it's PC players and, PlayStation 4 now, obviously, but they have the same thing as us Xbox users.
Yeah.
But
So I want everyone to do me a favor right now. Go watch gaming clips of the week for week 1. The first clip you're going to see is Dorothy Alkovos, which is me, playing Battlefield 2042. I think I go on a 10-kill streak. I try to revive you. And the next clip you see
that was me that you're trying to revive, wasn't
it? The next clip you see is Kill for a Living 1, which is Paul. And just look at our movement. And that has nothing to do with the aim assist. You walk, Paul. You walk. You don't even sprint, let alone tactical sprint. You don't jump. You don't slide. So I need aim
I'm
assist.
feeling a lot of judgment right now. All right. I have a hard... So my problem... Don't stop the sentence when I have a hard... my problem is when I'm running, I always run too far instead of like taking it break by break. So I'll be running and then someone pops out and then it's like, oh shit, I'm in the middle of a sprint. So, and then I'm getting killed. So I'm always trying to tell myself, walk more,
and
walk
that's
more.
When you jump or slide, because then that gives you time to react and then they're not shooting you in the face.
Yeah, well.
Anyway.
I'm not perfect.
So, obviously Paul plays on Xbox Series X, so he's using a controller. I play on PC. I'm using mouse and keyboard.
Cheater.
Yeah, I'm such a cheater. But, you've got the advantages of both. But with mouse and keyboard, one thing I will say, as a mouse and keyboard player, recoil is leaps and bounds easier for me than it is for you. And I know I've showed some of my friends a little demonstration of me doing this where, they'll be on a controller on the same game that we're playing on PC. And I'll tell them, shoot at this wall. Fully automatic, shoot at the wall. and now I'm going to shoot at the wall. And, I can control my recoil pattern to the point where every shot is just going straight.
And that's the one thing I always see, like in your game clips, and I always, I guess you can say complain. I complain about it when I'm watching your clips, and I'm telling you like, dude, what gun are you using? Because my recoil sucks. Like, I'm all over the place, and like and you're like, no, it's just this. I have this set up, and I'm like, I set up my gun the same way, and I'm just like, like that was a terrible
Now,
machine
mind
gun
you,
sound. But
that was terrible. Mind you, there are people that learn how to control the recoil on mouse or on controller as well. It's all about patterns. Whenever I start with a new gun, I test it out first and I shoot at the wall fully automatic without controlling the recoil to see which way the recoil goes, because then I know I have to pull my mouse down that direction. Same thing with controller. I used to do that with controller as well. So although myself playing on mouse and keyboard now, I used to play on controller, and the thing is, I was still really good on controller as well. So and that's why this argument I think is really easy for me, because I've played on both sides of the spectrum for a while, and I was successful on both sides. Although I think we can both agree that I've become more successful overall better at gaming since I've gone to PC.
I think when you've gone to PC, it like took your gaming to a whole new level.
Yeah, because now I get banned.
I don't like to even give this guy credit for a lot of this stuff because I don't hear the end of it. I still get bashed, but yeah, I mean, I think definitely whenever you move to PC, it definitely took your game to a whole different level with video games. So, and that's why I tell this guy, get a Twitch, get on there. Let's get you some recordings and start streaming live.
That being said, Paul did create a Twitch account for MGS Podcast. I don't know when, but at some point, either myself or Paul will host streams.
I'm not embarrassing myself on that.
I mean, you'll be in the party with me. So people
yeah, but they won't be able to see me all the time just running next to you and like, oh, kill for Lemmy, dead.
Yeah,
dead.
But we're gonna try. Hopefully later this week we can get a stream set up, and we'll play some. I mean, if we're being realistic, Battlefield 2042, because that's what we play.
We are going to try to hop on and do a little bit Apex Legends, too.
Yes, I haven't played Apex in a while, so I'd like to get back on.
And I know I've been wanting to try to hop in and play some Destiny with you guys, so which we will, maybe if we have a little bit of time, to talk about Destiny 2.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to get a little bit more range of video games that we're playing, so...
But, back on the topic of, the advantages and disadvantages versus both, so... With mouse and keyboard, one clear advantage we have is recoil control, of course. The other clear advantage we have, which a lot of people in this argument don't bring this up, if I'm shooting long range, so you're 500 meters from me, you ever notice that like when you're aiming, it kind of like jumps around when you're zoomed in a lot. So on a gaming mouse, you have a DPI sensor, which DPI is dots per inch. So the higher your DPI, the less that skip is. It's kind of like a pixel on a TV. The more pixels, the smoother it's going to move.
I'm glad you brought up the DPI because that brings me to my question that I had for you, because obviously you play PC, but there's more settings that you guys can do to adjust those things, right? Isn't there more in-depth stuff that you can go into on a PC to adjust those type of settings?
So I wouldn't say there's more advanced things. Only because of the different types of controllers that can be purchased now, like the Elite controllers and the Scuff controllers.
Okay.
So the biggest thing with PC is you can now I don't do this, but you can program macros so that when you press a certain button, it does more than one thing. So it can give you an advantage because, you can be shooting and you can also program it so that, once you like double tap your trigger or your shoot key, it'll reload for you. So like there's things that you can kind of gain an unfair advantage with which macros aren't allowed in like tournaments and stuff. A lot of people will try to sneak them in. But once they came out with the Scuff controllers and the Elite controllers, you can do that stuff on there now too.
I feel like that would be a disadvantage if you're like always practicing that way and then you try to go to a tournament and they're like, hey, it's not going to work.
Oh, it would be. But they try to sneak it in there, and then a lot of times get kicked off. But, and I've noticed this with my own mouse. If I have my DPI too low and I'm zoomed in looking at someone 500 meters down, I'll notice that skip. So like, let's say they're right in the middle of my hands here, and I'll go to aim at them and it kind of skips over them. And then I'll turn back and it kind of skips over them again. But I just turn up my DPI and then it moves smoother and I can lock onto them. Whereas with aim assist, it only works at a certain range.
Right. A
So
little
if
bit closer
yeah,
range.
so if you're aiming at someone that's 500 meters away in a scope, the aim assist isn't really going to help you. So that's why a lot more people are more successful sniping in video games like first-person shooters on PC than they are on console.
And I've seen a lot of people too. So just speaking of your mouse, I feel like I've seen some people too have a PC, but they still use like an Xbox controller.
A lot of people
Yeah,
do, and I think that's more of a comfort thing, because
like
that's
just like maybe new to PC and just not wanting to
yeah.
break away from it.
So the Cali people, shout out again to the Cali people. They have all converted to PC because I converted them. They said I would never play PC. Yeah, we'll see, we'll see. And now they're all on PC,
Is
but
that
they
what they
all
sound like now?
that's exactly what they
Man,
sound
it's
like.
been a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah. But
Oh, I'm
they're
so
all on
curious.
PC now, but they all use an Xbox controller. Most of the, I think actually all of them have the Elite 2 controller, so it's still
Okay.
better than like what you're using, but it's still, I think it's just a comfort thing. Because
Sure.
one thing people don't understand, mouse and keyboard, the advantages it may have, it is not as easy as people think it is. It took me a year of practice.
I mean, you're going to a lot more keys than just your controller here.
Yeah.
So there's definitely more comfort because it's not only just not here anymore, it's here, moving
Yeah.
this hand and doing this one. So
Well, and
a lot of
speaking of
simultaneous
comfort,
action going
like,
on.
when you're playing Xbox, show us your pose when you sit and play Xbox.
Something like that.
I love it. I love it. Okay, now that
Hunched over.
now
you
that
know?
looked pretty comfortable though, right?
Yeah. You
No,
don't.
it's comfortable.
I don't think you blink when you're looking at the screen.
I
Though.
don't. Yeah, I don't think I do. But
Probably got something that holds your eyes.
because if I blink, I might miss something.
Yeah. Right.
But like I find myself on my chair, like I'll start sitting in super weird positions. Like I'll put my legs on the couch from the chair, and then I'm like turned this way, and then like I wake up in the
It
morning.
makes me feel like I'm even worse of a gamer if you can sit like that and still do what you're doing.
But then I wake up in the morning, I'm like, why does my back hurt? Maybe because I was doing a praying mantis impression all night. That might have a little something to do with it. But that's a big thing for controller players is they like the comfort of being able to kick back and play a game, and you can't do that when you're on mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
Now that brings up one of the biggest advantages in tournaments with aim assist. Recently, I watched a Call of Duty Warzone tournament. It was a $25,000 tournament, and believe it or not, they were playing hide and seek. So it wasn't a traditional Warzone match.
For 25 grand?
They're playing hide and seek for 25
Shut
grand.
the front door.
The guy who won was a console player. And the way he found people was he would only run straight. He went turn. And when his screen would move, the aim assist kicked in. He knew someone was there. So it kind of gives you an unfair advantage if someone's hiding because your aim assist will take over, and now you know that someone is there.
So could that, like, could that be the same way? Never mind. That wouldn't make sense because I mean, there's sometimes where like I'm like in a corner, I haven't even moved, but someone comes right around the corner, and they're just blasting away, and I'm like, dude, how would you even know that I was there at that point?
A lot of that is okay. For those of you who have not seen, check out our Instagram at MGS Podcast. I believe it's MGS_podcast. We have a picture of our studio, which has my gaming PC in there. And my PC, I have a monitor that it's considered a super ultra wide monitor. It's a 32:9 aspect ratio, which is double the aspect ratio of a TV. So I can see double what you can. And before I started gaming on this, I used to play with my friend Chris. You've met Chris a few times, who had a similar monitor. And I used to get so frustrated, like, how did you see that guy? And then I got a monitor like this, and I get it because
And he one-upped him for sure on the monitor.
No, his is better.
Is it?
Yeah.
Dang, you always one-up, bro.
They're comparable, but his is a Samsung one. So you know how Samsung is with their colors.
Yeah.
They have amazing colors in their displays. So his colors are a little more vivid than mine, but mine was like $400 cheaper, but it's still a $1,200 monitor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we'll put up maybe a closer up picture of the monitor so you guys can see it. And,
but when you
setup.
say that, I don't know how he saw me. It could be something as simple as that. He just has a monitor with a different aspect ratio, of course, and then there's server lag. He might have actually run in and you just didn't even see him run in because there was some sort of lag in the server. But, a guy fully winning $25,000 because his aim assist told him where the people were hiding, that gives the people with aim assist an unfair
Yeah.
advantage. Now, my opinion, mouse and keyboard player here, mouse and keyboard is superior. Again, it takes a lot more to master than it does with the controller. A lot of controller players seem to think that mouse and keyboard is just point and click, but it's a lot more difficult than that. Like if I were to let you play right now, you would.
You better turn down all your settings. I can't move that fast.
They are turned down. That's just
I mean,
how fast I move.
I mean, like I said, I'll go to it. Like we were talking about before the segment. But my controller, I feel like doesn't move side to side as fast as a mouse and keyboard does.
And it doesn't. Even if you were to turn up your sensitivity, which I know your sensitivity is low because I've watched you play, but even if you were to turn it up, every half a point you turn up your sensitivity is a few hours that you have to get used to playing like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And the way that you play, I believe, if I recall, and you'll have to check this when you get home, I think your sensitivity is probably at a 4. When I play on console, I play at a 9 out of 10.
So, I mean, and it's so weird because it depends on what game I'm playing that, like, I have to have my sensitivity up higher, which is weird because, like, if I'm playing Halo, it's, like, all the way to the max.
You got to do that in Battlefield.
Yeah, but in Battlefield, I feel like the sensitivity is a lot more jerky than it is in Halo as of a smoothness.
All I'm saying is I know these shoulders look big and that I can just carry the weight of our team every match, but it gets stressful. Always having to check that scoreboard and make sure I'm doing the job.
You're always checking the score to make sure I'm number one.
I want to make sure I'm number one.
Dude, I even had to remind the other day, I was like, hey, man, there's a guy on the other team who's beating you right now in points and kills.
In kills, yeah.
Like,
I beat him in kills. He beat me in points, but I beat him
like
in
about
kills.
30 points or something.
Yeah, he beat me by like 30 points, and he had 94 kills. I had 95.
Yeah, I think I had like 17 at that point. So that's
Yeah.
how far behind I am. That's why mouse and keyboard is superior.
Okay, yeah,
That's my winning argument.
But, I also think mouse and keyboard is superior, but it takes practice. It takes work. For those PC players that are watching this who still use a controller, don't start off on a player versus player game. I started off playing Destiny in the player versus everyone environment, so it's, I'm just playing against the computer. That's where I started. And I played about a year of that before I truly transitioned into like competitive first person shooters. But that way you can practice and
I mean, even like in Battlefield, you can go into Portal and go
you
into
can
like a
practice in
lobby and
Portal.
play in there because those aren't even ranked maps. You don't have to worry about KD.
And you can
and all
even
that
create
stuff,
your
so.
own. You can go solo offline against just the AI.
Yeah,
Judgment free zone. It's not a
Yeah.
courthouse. There's no judging there.
yeah.
So, but yeah, for those players, practice mouse and keyboard. At the end of the day, I think you're gonna like it because then you can do what I like to do to Paul, where I'm like, hey Paul, check this out, and then I just start spinning my mouse and my character just starts
Yeah,
spinning
fast
in
enough to
circles.
generate a tornado, and I'm over here just like doing one
Yeah,
lap
did
as
you
you
know
did
the
10.
tornadoes in 2042 are from me?
Oh, is that what
Yeah.
it is? I'll be damned.
Yeah, it's like a trick. Like you hit Alt F4
This whole time.
and you spin, and then you turn Super Saiyan.
Super Saiyan.
Super Saiyan.
Which level?
Blue.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
But yeah, that's our opinion. We both agree mouse and keyboard is superior. Takes practice. But I think that's going to wrap things up for the gaming segment. Unless, do you think we've got time for
Let's
which
do a quick
game?
hit on Destiny 2 real quick.
Yeah, we'll kind of tell people what it's about. I know you don't know a lot about Destiny,
I
so
played it a couple times, but like I said, that's one of those games we want to get into and play a little bit more for
Yeah.
these next couple weeks.
So Destiny 2 is a free-to-play looter shooter that came out, I believe, September of 2017, and it's a live service game. So, they're constantly bringing new content into the game, whether it's, different raids, different maps, well, planets we'll call them, different weapons, armor, and, every 7-8 months, typically they come out with a new DLC. And the story of Destiny, for those of you who do not know, Destiny was created by Bungie after they sold Halo. After Halo 3, they sold it back, well, I believe Microsoft owned the rights to Halo, so then they gave it to 343 Studios. Bungie went on and made Destiny 1 in 2015.
Which Bungie is now owned by
Sony. Yeah, Sony bought Bungie. I'll have to double check the numbers, but it was roughly, I think, around the $5 billion mark they bought Bungie for. But Destiny, it's honestly it's an amazing game. I don't want to compare it to Halo. The comparison ends at you're like this elite warrior fighting aliens. That's where the comparison ends. Because here, you're leveling up your gear, whether
Open
you want it to
world.
be, yeah, I mean, it's open world to an extent. Each planet has a large environment that is, I'm gonna say 80% open.
Yeah.
Some stuff, of course, can't be explored, but you're this thing known as a guardian. So there's this big like alien entity that I believe it crashes on Earth after like a battle with something called the Darkness, and it gives humans, which have pretty much gone extinct at this point, something called the Light, which is we'll call it the Force for those Star Wars fans. It gives
Yeah.
them the Force,
All right, now I understand.
and they become invincible. And their job is to protect humanity and protect this entity known as a traveler from whatever threats it may have. And the idea of the game is you're doing the campaigns, you're doing player versus player. They have different strikes, which is a playlist where you and two other people just go and do this small mission. They have dungeons, which is you and two other people going and doing a large difficult mission. And then they have raids, which is you and five other people doing these extremely complicated missions that might take you 5 hours to beat.
Is that what you guys do? The raids?
We've done raids when you were waiting for me to play Battlefield the other night,
Yeah,
and we
I
were
was gonna say
we were
you're
stressing out about that boss. That was the campaign because
Oh, okay.
with the Witch Queen they added a new campaign mode where it used to just be you'd go through and just kill everything
Oh, you guys
instantly.
are playing on legendary?
Legendary,
Yeah.
they added this difficulty legendary, which gives you a lot more power items, so you can level up your character faster, and it made it so much more enjoyable because it was stressful at how difficult it was, which made it fun.
Right, yeah. I mean, you want it to be competitive. I
Yeah,
mean,
and they did such a good job with Witch Queen that I personally think that right now, if you've never played Destiny before, obviously you're behind on a lot. You can watch a YouTube video to catch up on the lore and the story. Because once you start in Witch Queen, they're going to give you a power up so that you're at like the level of everybody else. So you're not at a
behind,
disadvantage.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a fun game to get on, play with your friends, go through these complex missions that have puzzles. There's jump puzzles where you're having to jump across and under these obstacles and jump across these giant gaps. And my friend JP always dies because he can't jump across anything for some reason. And it's just such an exciting game. And when Witch Queen came out, they made some changes to their user interface that made it a little bit more user friendly to new people as well, as far as different cosmetic items and how to narrate through the screens.
Well, it's
But
nice that you don't have to go back and like play the other games when this one launches. You can kind of jump right in and
yeah,
still be competitive to
A few moments ago.
Destiny 2, The Witch Queen, because I don't know shit about Destiny.
yep,
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Play this game, so
yeah, and it's a looter shooter. If you don't know what a looter shooter is, it's all about grinding for gear. Sometimes you play the same missions over and over again just to get a different gun.
yeah.
But it's exciting because you're working for something. You constantly have something that you're working towards, which keeps people engaged.
Right, absolutely. No, that's interesting. That's pretty neat. And then what day does that launch?
It came out in February.
Oh, so it's already out.
It's out, and I've been playing it, and I took a long break from Destiny
far
because
behind
it
I
kind
am.
of got dull. And with Witch Queen, they really did a good job to make it exciting again for people that had been playing for a long time, which obviously that means it's going to be exciting for people who've never played.
Right.
If it got me excited again after I got bored from the game, it's going to do wonders for people who've never played the game.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I definitely want to jump in there and play with you guys to get a little bit more experience in it. So we'll have to do that sometime soon.
Yeah, and it's on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and it's crossplay. So,
Nice.
you can play with your friends across all platforms. So, and, we kind of ran out of time while talking about Witch Queen, so that's as much as we can talk about it right now. But if you guys have any more questions or even want to watch us stream on Twitch, some Destiny 2, we can do that too.
Yeah, let's definitely get on the stream, get that
Yeah.
MGS podcast going up there. So,
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on the gaming segment. We're gonna wrap it up here, and then we'll be back for the most anticipated segment of the day, which is gonna be sports.
A lot of stuff going on in the world
Man.
of sports right now.
Come back and check us out here in a few minutes.
And welcome back to the MGS Podcast, your one-stop shop for movies, games, and sports. We've reached the final segment, which is the sports segment of the show. And we've got a lot to talk about. I want to quick bring up right now.
Russell Wilson.
What?
Oh, sorry.
What do you mean? There's an Aaron Rodgers sitting right there, Paul.
Where'd you come from?
I'm wearing a flashing Packers hat.
Oh,
And you think we're going to talk about Russell Wilson?
I thought we were talking about the biggest.
Get
names.
out.
Oh,
So Aaron Rodgers did confirm on Twitter that he is returning to the Green Bay Packers. Contract details, the rumor is that it's going to be $50 million a year, 4 years.
he's a cheesehead for life.
She said, baby. Look at, I know we've got at least one Bears fan watching this. Shout out to that one Bears fan. We had an amazing conversation on Instagram today. But you see these lights? Get used to it, because we own you.
He owns you.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. He purchased part of the Bears last year, so
Oh.
yeah. But moving on from Aaron Rodgers, obviously I am extremely excited that he's coming back. Russell Wilson, like you mentioned, traded to the Denver Broncos.
Dude, and it's crazy because it's crazy the amount of impact that a quarterback has on a team, because they've literally gone from last in that division to third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said that Russell Wilson, for being a star quarterback,
It's supposed to be a joke, man.
has still... No, I know, he's the third in the division. I get it. There's 4 teams in the division. Actually, the joke went over my head for a second, but then But, Russell Wilson has always been underrated for his caliber that he is. He's a game changer. He
100%.
carried the Seahawks for a while.
Yeah.
So...
Kind of makes you wonder, like, why did he get let go? Like, I mean, we did hear that there were some rumors that him and Pete Carroll weren't really seeing eye to eye anymore. And maybe there was some...
see eye to eye with someone who chews gum like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I want to reach over and just...
It's like,
right
you
now.
wonder if he, like, sleeps while chewing gum.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah? You think so?
Yeah.
He's got probably a jaw of steel.
Legion of Boom.
Legion of Boom.
The glory years. 12 man. It was an interception.
Yeah, it's wild. I think he's going to make a huge impact right off the bat for the Broncos, and it's just going to make that division even tougher than it already is. And again, to my point in our last podcast, the AFC is getting stronger and stronger.
The NFC was always a powerhouse, with the exception of the Patriots. But now it's flipped.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
flipped.
100%.
The AFC is a powerhouse, for sure.
It's definitely gone the other way. And speaking of NFC, I think Aaron Rodgers may have thought he was in the clear with not really a whole lot of competition.
Oh, you're talking about that guy in Tampa? What was his name?
Samantha Brady?
Tom. He's
Tom
the guy
Brady.
that's married to that model.
Yeah.
That pretty successful model.
Yeah, she's like...
He's like the master of the 5-yard check down pass. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady comes out of retirement. Now, funny thing about that, he came out of retirement, it was like 3 or 4 hours after his final touchdown ball
was
sold at auction for like $520,000.
That's wild.
And it's now worthless.
Did you see the meme of the guy in the soccer stands who's like sitting there like, the guy that just purchased Tom Brady's last touchdown? He's just standing there like this, hand on his hips like...
I finally found where that meme came from. It was like an actual, I forget the name. It wasn't soccer or anything. It was one of those weird non-American sports.
But, it was cricket.
Was it cricket?
Yeah. I did see that.
It
Was that
shows the
cricket?
guy.
Yeah, because the center fielder or whatever they call him in cricket missed the ball.
Yeah,
and
then
he's
it
just sitting there
pans-
so disappointed. And I was like, oh man.
But speaking of disappointing, Steelers signed Mitch Trubisky to a
That was-
2-year deal.
I don't think anybody saw that coming unless you were in the Steelers organization. But I'm gonna go to Ryan Tannehill. I don't know that this is gonna be his system for him, but look at the struggles that Tannehill had down in Miami.
And
now I will say
that's
I
true.
think Tannehill is a better quarterback. I think he had a better career in Miami than what we saw Mitch Trubisky have in Chicago. Well, I don't know. They went to the playoffs,
Yeah, they went to the playoffs his rookie year. Yeah.
but there is potential there.
Well, and the thing is, it's not like they're going from a prime Ben Roethlisberger to Mitch Trubisky. They're going from a worthless Ben Roethlisberger, where they still won, 8 or 9 games because they had a winning record, because Mike Tomlin has yet to have
A losing
record.
Yeah.
So they still had a winning record with Ben Roethlisberger. What I would define as a sad Ben Roethlisberger. It was tough to watch him play.
Yeah. Especially you didn't want to see him go out like that. But,
Yeah.
they did have a 11-0 start last year. And then, they did make it to a wild card game this year. So, at least you go out that way, but I'm sure not the way
Big
he
Ben didn't
envisioned
even
it.
believe that. He's like, no one thought I didn't think we were going to get this far.
Yeah, I didn't even think we were going to be here.
I mean, no, we shouldn't be here. Let's be real.
So, and I don't know that there's... if you look like Russell Wilson signing, and, Aaron Rodgers, obviously, staying with Green Bay. Derek Carr's been named the guy in Oakland. He's not going anywhere. Looks like maybe Jameis Winston is being held in New Orleans.
Your biggest wild card at this point, in my opinion, is Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, and it doesn't even sound like they were going to make a run at him because I know he's visiting with the Saints.
It's crazy because
and
they
the
like
Panthers.
Quarterbacks who harass women.
Hey, all charges dropped. The man is guilt free. So, but yeah, I was surprised that they didn't go after him. I even thought maybe Jameis Winston would be a good fit for Pittsburgh. But I know they probably felt like they needed to go out and get a quarterback with experience. They probably didn't want to go through a rebuild with someone out of the draft.
Yeah.
And then I know Kyle Rudolph, I think, is their backup quarterback, and he didn't show a lot of success when he went in when Big Ben got injured 2 years ago. He did get a helmet to the face by Myles Garrett and took that like a champ. So
yeah,
he's got that.
He's
for him,
actually
but...
lined up to fight Jake Paul.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
is that
I
a real?
don't know, maybe.
Oh, I was like, oh yeah.
I mean, I'd kind of want to, but Mitch, good luck as a Green Bay Packers fan. You could go in from the Bears. Most of the time, I hope you get hit by a truck. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna miss you playing for the Bears because it's great game for Green Bay every time.
Yeah, I think anytime you play the Bears is a great game.
It is. But speaking of great game, LeBron James, first player in NBA history, hit 30,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists. He becomes the sole member of the 30K, 10K, 10K club.
And just to remind everybody, how old is the man?
172.
And still doing it.
He's still doing it.
The guy's a machine, dude.
He's still, you look at the talent that the Lakers brought in, and LeBron is still carrying them.
Yeah. There'll be a lot of people say, well, LeBron did push out a lot of young talent, because they are the oldest team in the league with Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, Carmelo Anthony, LeBron himself. So there is a lot of age there. Dwight Howard. So this team, I could say, seeing him carry this team is almost like a no-brainer. But I did think a lot of people, like a lot of other people, they thought Russell Westbrook was going to come in and do a lot more than what he's doing, and obviously having a lot of struggles there.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot here. 30K, 10K, 10K is the greatest of all time?
I like LeBron, man. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there like, Michael Jordan, he's the man, the myth, the legend. LeBron is built different. He's a big man, and I just can't.
He's a tight end. He's a football tight end.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are like, well, he couldn't make it back in the day. He's too soft. But if we're really honest, I mean, these players adapt to the game that's given to them.
Exactly.
And
In the
the
game
fouls-
today, I wouldn't even say it's that they're soft, just flopping. It's part of the game.
The NBA has allowed
Today,
it, but
exactly.
they have made some improvements just over the year, like the James Harden, shoot while he's shooting a three and
The only
shooting
thing I respect
into-
about Harden is his beard.
yeah, it's a masterpiece.
That's it. It's great.
It's beautiful.
It is.
There's probably something living in there. Have you ever seen that Family Guy episode where Peter Griffin grows the beard and he's got like a bird's nest in there and he's got like 3 little babies in his beard? Yeah, so it's just the game and the way the NBA is. And I mean, even I don't know, would LeBron even be as big as he is back in the early 90s
And it's
with
hard to
today's,
say.
Yeah. equipment and everything? But the guy's an athlete,
Yeah.
man, and he's proven it in all different types of sports. He played football in high school and was one of the best in Ohio.
Yeah, he wanted to play for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
If
And
he,
I mean,
had gone
he's
to
a
the
huge
NFL.
Cowboys
He's
fan.
even gotten offers from Jerry Jones over at the,
I'm
the
sure.
Cowboys organization. Yeah.
I'm sure if he retires from the NBA, he's like, you want to come play one season?
Yeah, just let me catch one ball. I just want to catch one ball.
So I do like LeBron, and to me, again, what solidified like his, greatness was when he went to Cleveland, and won with the surrounding cast there when they beat the Warriors, who was the best Warriors team to date. I mean,
not
they had
to
the best
mention beat
record
the
in the league.
Warriors. Look at the deficit they came back
Yeah,
from.
3-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's incredible. And I know everybody talks about the rundown block, from that game, and it was one of the highlights of that series. But I mean, he's a monster, and hats off to him for continuing to break records at his age, and continue to be one of the most competitive players out there with
Yeah.
all these young stars that are coming up.
And that's why it's hard for me in any sport to declare somebody the greatest of all time. Just because the generational gap in the type of the game that you're playing is so much different.
I agree.
We don't know that LeBron would have made it playing with Jordan, but we don't know that Jordan would have made it playing with LeBron.
Right.
So I'm a firm believer of the greatest of a generation.
Yep.
I've
I've always been kind of that same way.
we had Magic Johnson, followed by Michael Jordan. Well, obviously, I'm not going to forget, Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah,
I can't
I was
forget
to say,
Wilt.
well, how far
But,
back do you want to go?
I don't want to go that far back, but and then of course Michael Jordan, and then in my opinion Kobe Bryant, and then right now we've got, for who knows how much longer, LeBron James. And what it sounds like, I forgot where I had read this, but he's got a plan to retire. Had you heard about it?
Well, I know he wants to play with his son.
He wants to play with his
and
son.
I don't know if it's 1 year or 2 years, but it sounds like wherever his son gets drafted, if his son gets drafted and goes and plays for a team, he'd probably play for minimal.
Yeah.
To just try to go and, play in the NBA with his son, which is awesome to see.
So, sorry, Eric. We're going to bring something up for a second. When you throw a piece of paper into the garbage from across the room, what do you say?
Kobe!
Leave in the comments what you say when you throw a piece of paper from across the room.
I'm an 80s
Because
baby,
a
by
friend
the
of
way.
mine said that he says Jordan, and we tried it before the podcast.
It was awkward.
We're like, yeah, it was so awkward because it's Kobe.
Yeah, no. If I'm saying anything Jordan, it's talking about shoes.
Yeah. Real talk, though, rest in peace, Mamba. Your legacy will be missed. I would have loved to see what he was going to do after basketball.
I mean, he was already making an impact.
He
on
really
everything,
was,
so.
and with the youth organizations. And I think LeBron is going to do that same thing.
100%. I mean,
Like,
got a
he's already
school.
doing it,
Yeah,
yeah.
the school in Ohio.
Yeah.
I mean, that he's, guaranteeing scholarships and things like that for these kids when they move forward. So,
And I think a lot of people overlook that when it comes to even like the Michael Jordan versus LeBron James argument. Do I think LeBron James is arrogant? I do. But like, did you watch The Last Dance? Michael Jordan thing? It's like you kind of wonder. It's like, was Michael Jordan a piece of work?
And that's my thing too. Is I think Michael Jordan would be competitive in any league because the guy was a
Besides
monster.
in baseball.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he even wants to talk about the White Sox.
Did
either.
you know that Michael Jordan prepared like 9 years playing basketball for his role in Space Jam?
Yeah. I figure that makes sense.
Mind blown. Whereas LeBron James had to. I mean, this settles the GOAT argument. He had to prepare 9 years for Space Jam. LeBron had to prepare 17 years for Space Jam.
Wild.
I mean, who's the GOAT? Chris Middleton.
Chris Middleton.
Chris Middleton.
No, man, yeah. LeBron is an athlete. Jordan's an athlete.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate them all as generation-wise. Like you were saying, you know, we get greatness as generations
Yeah.
go. LeBron is the generation GOAT of our generation. Michael Jordan being prior, Wilt Chamberlain, all those guys have led the way for these new players and so on, and that's how it'll go.
Yeah. Now, on to our next topic. You want to tell everyone what you're wearing and why you're wearing it?
MLB is back, baby. MLBPA and the players finally reached an agreement, and the season is going to kick off. I believe Oakland A's kicks off the season on April 8th. I'm excited, man. Angels fan here. Obviously, if you can't tell a little bit. And this is not a Mike Trout jersey. This goes way back to my favorite baseball player of all time.
Oh, the guy from Angels in the Outfield,
Yes.
that 90s movie?
Movie, by the
Yeah.
way. Yeah. But it's Vladimir Guerrero.
Okay.
So he played with the Montreal Expos, and then I always liked the way he hit. I mean, the guy could hit anything off the ground, on a tee, you know, up high. And Montreal Expos ended up...
Speaking of pie, you know it's Pie Day today.
Pie Day.
3.14.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
You're
Mathematical.
welcome. Education.
Thank you. So, anyways, Vladimir left, went to the Angels the year after they won the World Series, and I've been a fan since. So,
Now, what? Forgive me for not knowing. Do you know what the lockout was for? Was it pay disagreements or just like the disagreements for the players' union in general, like all aspects of their contracts,
really-
safety?
yeah,
you know,
really all aspects.
All of the
And
above.
there's a lot of players who still aren't even happy with what they came to an agreement to.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think a lot of them are like, look, if we don't get paid. You know, the more and more that this goes on, we're not going to get paid. But at least maybe there was like a halfway, you know, meet halfway, or some of them making it sound like they didn't even meet halfway. But, you know.
Well, and it's just bizarre that the entire off season was put on hold.
Yeah,
like
spring
no roster
training,
moves were
yeah.
made. Like they
You're
couldn't
seeing
do
some now,
anything.
trades and things like that happening.
Well, yeah,
Obviously.
you figure they had a few months to plan since
Yeah.
what, December?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find out who all those free agents are and everything. So, be interesting to go. I'm ready for the season to start. Excited for my Angels. We got Shohei Ohtani, who was the league MVP last year. You know, dual player. Not seeing anything like that in our generation.
Yeah.
Being able to pitch, throw over 100 miles an hour, and go up there and do it at the plate. Running.
Yeah, I could do it in MLB The Show 21.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Yep.
21
21.
or 22.
21. 22's not out yet.
I thought it launched.
Did it?
I don't know. Shohei Ohtani's on the cover though.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
maybe.
And then obviously Mike Trout we're always excited for. So, like I said, ready for this baseball season to kick off, and April 8th. So make sure you're picking up your fan gear and getting ready to watch some games.
Now, there was a little bit of exciting news. Now, we have to wind it back, bring up some not so exciting news. WWE legend Scott Hall, also known as, Razor Ramon at one point.
Razor Ramon.
Razor Ramon, the bad guy.
Long hair,
Yeah.
curly.
Razor's Edge was his finishing move. It was, at the time, a pretty amazing powerbomb type move. And
That generation of
he,
wrestlers was incredible.
it was incredible. But, unfortunately, we're about to lose Razor Ramon. Scott Hall had, from my understanding, I've seen a few conflicting reports. He was having some type of hip surgery, is one of the reports, that didn't go well, and it ended up putting him on life support. Other reports I saw were, several heart attacks that led to life support. But, his longtime friend and former wrestling partner, Kevin Nash, had posted that the family is taking him off of life support. So I believe that was possibly happening today. So,
And Kevin Nash, Razor Ramon, was that NWO?
they were a part of the NWO.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan era.
Yeah, once they moved over to the WCW,
Yeah.
that's when they had to drop because like Razor Ramon was owned by the WWE. That gimmick was owned by them. So when they went over, they had different people playing Razor Ramon, and I forget the name of Kevin Nash's character within that tag group, but they got to keep those names, and they had like imposters. I believe one of them was Kane before he was Kane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
just remember because the N64 game with the NWO guys on it, he was on that cover.
yeah.
With him, Hulk Hogan, Steve Nash.
And then I think you had Sting squeezed in there because there was a
Yeah.
huge controversy with Sting trying to break up the NWO, and then they had the NWO Red.
Dude, yeah, those guys were
That was
awesome, bro.
that was
I'm telling
basically
you, those
a
were the
gang
years.
fight. It was legalized gang fights.
Those-
But
those were the years
if
of
it's
wrestling.
already happened, I gotta say rest in peace, Scott Hall.
Absolutely.
I loved watching you as a kid. I was a massive wrestling fan,
and thank you for all the years of entertainment.
Oh, my
that
Lord.
you supplied us as kids.
I used to love putting toothpicks in my mouth because of Scott Hall, because he
And-
always had that toothpick, man.
This hits a little bit more home to Jake. Jake actually used to do some wrestling himself.
Yeah.
So-
I trained a little bit with the Wild Samoan Wrestling Academy in Mineola.
Wild
Yeah.
Samoan. So
Wild Samoan run by Afa Anawai. For those of you who don't know, Afa Anawai was one of the head shrinkers, of the Wild Samoans. Him and his brother. He's part of a long Samoan lineage of wrestlers. You had Yokozuna was part of that family. More recently, you have the Usos, the tag team, Roman Reigns, Dwayne, The Rock, Johnson.
Do you smell
That was really bad.
what the Rock is cooking?
You're embarrassing me.
I'm
in,
sorry.
in front of like at least 200 viewers we're going to have at some point on this video.
No, we're
You
going
just-
to 300,
you just
400
embarrassed
this
me.
time around. I'm sorry.
But yeah, rest in peace, Scott Hall. Gonna be missed, man. Left behind a legacy, though. Now we have to try to rebound from something a little sad and talk about the kickoff of March Madness, which starts tomorrow. So we don't have much to talk about it right now. There's a lot of teams in the March Madness. Share our bracket or share your brackets with us. Let us know who you think is going to go all the way. But
Yeah, any Cinderella stories you guys
Yeah.
can think out? It might be your team that you think is going to make a run in it. Mention them in the comments. And
who is your team?
Florida State,
Yeah,
they're out of
sorry.
it.
Yeah. You know who's not out of it? Wisconsin, baby. I'm not trying to brag, but we're number 3 in the Midwest.
Yeah. Well, I still got Ohio State to root for. I think they're number 7.
Yeah, something
So
like that.
7 seed.
Yeah, so in the East, we've got, I think Baylor is 1, followed by Kentucky, Purdue, UCLA, St. Mary's. I actually, believe it or not, I've never heard of St. Mary's before.
Really?
Yeah, I used to roller skate at St. Mary's roller rink in Green Bay.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You used to roller skate?
I used to roller skate every Friday night, dude.
Don't you do, man?
There's nothing I don't do.
And,
I'm gonna go do some crochet after this.
you
so.
do any fancy moves on the roller skate?
Yeah, so every once in a while, remember that old techno song called Sandstorm?
Maybe.
Do-do-do-do-do.
I remember Castles in the Sky.
That's terrible compared to Sandstorm. But they used to turn all the lights off, and then the strobe lights would come on in the disco ball, and we'd have these glow sticks, and we'd skate backwards, and we'd start tripping people.
Oh, that's messed up, man.
Yeah,
You're a
but
monster.
it really tests your skills as a skater.
Yeah, I bet.
So in the West, we've got Gonzaga, number 1 in the West, followed by Duke, which I've never,
This is actually Coach K's last year.
it is Coach K's last year. Yeah,
This will see what he does here in his final year as a head coach, leaving behind a huge legacy.
massive legacy.
So I know North Carolina's happy.
I would be if I was North Carolina. Texas Tech, number 3. Number 4, we got Arkansas, also known as Arkansas.
A lot of tornadoes there.
A lot of tornadoes. That's it.
Watch out, Dorothy.
There's nothing else.
That was Kansas.
That
not
was
Arkansas.
Kansas.
See, you got me
wow.
messed up, man.
Wow, way to just sound stupid. Everybody
They're in
make
the
fun of
Midwest,
them.
so we have Midwest. Kansas is up
I'm
there.
from the Midwest. What's your point? And then Yukon.
And
is
then in the
fifth.
South, we got Arizona, Villanova. We have Tennessee, who showed a lot of promise this year.
You know what I
so-
like about Tennessee? You're the only 10 I see. Trademarked by Jake Ledger.
Illinois, and Houston. And then following up, and the last group here is the Midwest, which is Kansas, who always seems to be in it.
And now you can tell your Dorothy
joke?
Tornado joke. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hold on. Auburn, this terrible team, Wisconsin at number 3, Providence, and then Iowa. So we'll get started with those. Those are going to be the top 5 in each group there. And then, like we said, it starts tomorrow. And we'd love to see what you guys are doing with your bracket-wise, who you guys think is going to make a run at it this year, who your favorite team is. And then if you guys have any Cinderella stories that we might want to be aware of and follow along as well. But we'll definitely be talking a lot more about March Madness as we get into the tournament. It's one of the biggest tournaments for college sports, and we look forward to it.
No, I'm going to make a bet with you right now. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Wisconsin wins their first game by at least 10 points. If they do...
Who do they play?
Let me double check. Because I know they just said it today.
So while you're double checking on that, what are we talking about bet-wise here?
If Wisconsin beats their first team by a margin of 10 points or more, you have to dress like a woman.
A full-on woman?
Full on. You can keep the beard.
So, like, dress or, wig?
Well, no. I mean, you can keep your hair. You can keep the beard, but, you got to wear it like maybe a crop top. You got some yoga pants. Women dress more than what you think. All women wear dresses? That's offensive.
I'm just saying to make it noticeable, so.
My Lord.
I want to see you in a dress because I think I'm going to win this bet.
Yeah, I mean.
So I'm not really worried about me. I'm worried about you.
Yeah,
Who do they play?
I mean, it's not even coming up.
So, anyways, you have that much faith in Wisconsin? They're going to win by 10 points.
I have that much faith that they're going to win by 10 points, and if they don't, I have to dress like a woman for the next podcast.
All right, I like this. I'll take you on that bet.
Yeah, you got to bring that one over. All right. So there you have it. He shook on it before he could see who the opponent was, which it is like number 30 ranked. I'm just kidding.
Hey, Cinderella story, bro. You guys could be knocked out in the first round.
I think it would be like a number 12 rank or 13.
Well, we'll see.
14.
10 points. I'll take you on that bet.
10 points.
We'll see you here in makeup and a dress next week.
But that'll wrap it up for podcast number 3, Paul.
Number 3.
So, I want to, again, give a huge shout out to every single person that has liked and subscribed, that has shared, that has viewed, watched our videos, shared them to their social media platforms, told their coworkers, like, hey, I've been watching these two dudes just chilling on this couch, and it's a blast. You should watch it.
They're just broing out or something.
Just broing out. Just broing out with my bro Buffett,
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. But we appreciate all of your support.
Brolinium Falcon. Sorry, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, you're interrupting me, Paul. We're trying to talk about how, bromanced we are, and you're interrupting me. Now we're going to have to argue after this. But, thank you so much for tuning in, and, we'll see you guys next week. In the meantime, send us your gaming clips for Gaming Clips of the Week 2.
Yeah, thanks for coming to hang out. We'll see you guys next week.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right, take care.
Or good morning. Why do I always say good night? I always say good night. Every time.
You want to redo the whole segment?
The whole thing. No, because I've been seeing this funny emo video, has a dog with the emo haircut, and there's a bunch of dogs that look like that.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And then it's it pans in on the dog, and then you just see, because tonight will be the night that I will fall for you over again.
I love your voice. By the way, just to speak on your voice, did you notice during the Batman voice, whenever you're doing it the first podcast, You're like, first I start like this.
Yeah.
Then I start like this. And I was like, dude, he could be in a band. Like
I
one of
used
those
to be in a
screamo
band,
bands.
dude.